biggest benefit of this technology in general is just the sheer volume of information we now have to help us make better decisions. My name is Peter Sawal. I'm a GIS Analyst. I've been with Walbec Group for 3 years. Our primary goal at the Walbec Group is helping people reach their destination. And one of the main ways we do that is through infrastructure projects. One of the main things we need for those infrastructure projects is aggregate products. And it is important for us to know exactly how much material we have and where that material is so that we can properly plan for the future as well as account for what material we have for both internal and tax reasons. We are now utilizing drones to properly calculate that material. Prior to 2016, we as a company used various methods to calculate the volumes of material in these piles. Some of the earliest methods were sending people around with measuring wheels to walk around the base of the piles and then walking a set distance from the pile and using a ruler to calculate how high it was with a lot of math. Later we got GPS and people were going out wearing chaps and ice spikes to climb up the pile and then slide down it. And not only was that unsafe, but it was not as accurate. Starting in 2016, we got our first consumer-level drones. Now, in order to calculate these measurements with those drones, we had to utilize GPS, but instead of walking around with it, we had to go set a bunch of X's on the ground first to establish where our ground was, and then we had to fly over the whole area with the drone. This took a lot of time because you had to go across some pretty significant sites, and it would take between 1 to 2 hours to set up everything before you could do the flight. In 2022, we acquired RTK capable drones. RTK means real-time kinematic, and essentially that means that the drone itself is able to receive information from a base station, and that information will be relating to the current atmospheric conditions. So when GPS is being collected, that information is being sent from satellites in orbit around us, and the difference in time between those different satellites being received by that receiver is how you get your location. Now, the atmosphere is inconsistent, and that can lead to a lot of issues. So that base station is always recording what those conditions are, and it knows its exact location, so it's able to correct for that atmospheric discrepancy. And it is able to then send that to the drone itself to give you an extremely accurate position. So now we can set up the drone and take off, do the whole flight, and land it, and we don't need to set any ground control, and our accuracies are higher than they've ever been before. The biggest benefit of this technology in general is just the sheer volume of information we now have to help us make better decisions. Those decisions come not only from mine planners, but also site managers now are able to look at an accurate 3D model of their site and come up with measurements for any sort of thing that they're wondering about, and they don't need to contact us to get those. Those are available for them. It allows them to make decisions much faster that they otherwise wouldn't have had an easy way to get.
The purpose of mine planning is to get a better understanding of the properties that we have. We get these farm fields, these forests, and we go in and extract the aggregate in order to supply our paving jobs, our construction jobs, etc. But when we leave this land, we have to make it look like we weren't there. So it has to go back to farm fields, it turns into a lake, and we have to have a good roadmap on how to get from point A to point B in order to maximize our deposits and increase our day-to-day production efficiencies and safety. A crucial aspect of this technology that the drone brings to the table is its accuracy. This allows us to make accurate projections on what our mine phases will look like as we're determining what year 1, 2, and 3 years in the future look like. We can take this, create 3D models, which then can be shown and illustrated to our operations teams so they get a better understanding of what we're trying to achieve in the long run.
Some of our aggregate sites are leased, and our relationship with those landowners is really important to us. And to facilitate that relationship and keep it a positive relationship, we want to keep a really open communication with them. And we do that by using our updated drone aerials and videos and sitting down with them regularly to show them what our operations look like and to show them what our operations are going to look like in the future. And by doing that, we can explain to them the impacts to their property and how they can plan and how we can plan together what that property is going to look like in the future.
Probably one of the biggest benefits when it comes to drone technology and how it equates to mine planning is the quality of the data that it collects and the timeliness and accessibility you have to that data. Because in this world, things change drastically, very quickly, and in order to have a good response, you need to be able to have the best tools at your disposal.